It's 11:03. So I think we will get started here. Turn this off. All right, folks. It is 11:03. It is June 10th of 2022. This is John Decker, the Director of Community Services at Alta California Regional Center. And this is Coffee with Community Services. A little bit of a different venue today. I'm not sitting in my RV. And I'm certainly not in my office. I'm in the collaboration space here at Alta. And so we have some staff that are here in the background. You guys want to step up real quick to the camera? You can introduce yourselves.
Sure.
Real quick. You guys have to go fast though.
Go. Over the pillows and stuff.
Hi, I'm Judy Litradello. I'm Service Coordinator.
Hi, I'm BJ Thompson. I'm a service coordinator.
Hi, I'm Scott Barr. I'm a Community Services Specialist.
I am Carly. I'm the Employment Specialist.
All right, and we have some other Alta staff on as well. Again, we wanted to show you our new collaboration space here at Alta, where we have removed some cubicles as we have a hybrid style here at Alta. And so we want to certainly provide a comfortable space for our staff, and in this case, allow them to also participate in our meeting with our vendors. And we've got, 66 folks on right now. So introducing staff here, we have Cindy Lay, who is our HCBS specialist, who you're going to hear a presentation from a little bit later. We have Christina Lane, Client Services Manager for Residential here as well. Gino Nessie, Community Services Manager on the phone there. And Denise, Community Services Specialist. And we have one of our Associate Client Services Directors, Jennifer Bloom.
Hello.
And Community Services Specialist, Shirley. And let's see, you already saw Scott once while he walked by. And then we've got Zach, my assistant. I think I see Heidi up in Grass Valley. And who else have we got there? We've got, there he is, Phil Perez, another one of our residential managers that has joined us as well. So I heard that the new employee orientation folks might walk by at some time too. So again, want to welcome folks to Alta's Coffee with Community Services. We've got a presentation that we're going to start off with. So I will introduce Erica Lizaldi. And Erica, if you could introduce yourself and just let folks know what your position is with the department and what you're going to talk about today.
Thank you. So my name is Erica Lizaldi. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. I am the Assistant Chief in the Office of Quality Assurance and Risk Management with the Department of Developmental Services. And I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about gathering data on the DSP workforce. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and screen share my PowerPoint presentation and get started. Make sure everyone can see that. So again, I do want to talk to you about gathering data on the DSP workforce. A quick overview is that California has officially launched a data collection initiative of agencies employing direct support professionals, also known as DSPs. Agencies employing DSPs received an email invitation to submit quantitative information about the factors impacting this workforce, and it's for the calendar year of 2021. Data collection instrument that we are using is the National Core Indicator Staff Stability Survey Tool, which collects data on payroll, benefits, compensation, retention and recruitment, bonuses, overtime, and even frontline supervisors. So why collect this information? Well, it'll help establish quantitative baseline information about the factors that are impacting the DSP workforce. It'll help provide insight to potential improvement opportunities in the workforce, as well as evaluate impact of current initiatives. So over 4,500 agencies employ DSPs, and in those agencies, they provide in-home supports, residential supports, and non-residential supports. For the sake of the survey, the agencies need to be in operation for at least 6 consecutive months in the calendar year of 2021. Data submission, of course, is voluntary. I do want to note that there is an incentive of $8,000 that will be paid for complete data submissions.
Erica, can you just repeat that one more time, please?
Sure. Just to make sure everyone can hear.
Yes.
Of course, of course. So we have a incentive program to pay out $8,000 for completed data submission, which requires all answers to be completed. So
Thank
for
you.
the sake of the survey, just got caught off guard a little bit. Why collect data? Of course, I think most of us know DSPs are a crucial and critical part of the IDD service system. And currently and historically, they've been experiencing some severe challenges with high turnover rates and vacancy rates, which really impact the lives of the individuals that need the support and the individuals we serve. Not to mention the challenges that the DSP workforce faces also affect provider agencies and their bottom line. We've recently heard, and historically also have heard from multiple stakeholders that they've expressed a large need in support for learning more about the employment of DSPs and the challenges that the workforce faces. Some of the benefit of collecting this information is that by using the validated data collection instrument that's specifically designed for the IDD system, it'll ensure the credibility and comparability of the results that we receive. In addition, reliable data will inform policy decisions, help in design recruitment efforts and retention efforts. It can even also examine the impact of the rate increases over time. So for the sake of the survey, I think most of us here, when you see a DSP, you see a DSP and you know what they are. But for the sake of the survey, DSPs are going to be considered individuals whose primary job responsibility is to provide support, help with skill development, supervision, and personal assistance to IDD individuals. It includes paid staff members who spend at least 50% of their hours doing direct service tasks. It will also include full-time and part-time DSPs providing residential, in-home, and/or non-residential supports. Again, for the sake of the survey, what is not included as a DSP is DSPs that are not funded through a regional center. It does not include contract or 1099 workers. It doesn't include on-call or PRN workers or employees that have been hired through a temporary agency. It doesn't include clinically licensed or certified employees such as therapists, nurses, or behavioral specialists. It does not include employees who only provide transportation, home modifications, and/or meal delivery services. And then it doesn't include administrative or supervisory employees whose their primary job is providing support and help with skill development. So as I mentioned before, there's topic areas within the survey tool itself. There's the agency profile that'll ask you about how many you serve, how many DSPs you employ. There'll be payroll data, benefits data, compensation, recruitment and retention. There's bonuses and overtime, and of course, frontline supervisors. Now, it has been a challenging time for everybody currently, so we've added a COVID impact section as well. So how the survey is conducted is data is submitted by the provider organization themselves, not the DSPs. An email with a link to the portal, which will be a specific survey link per agency, has been sent by HSRI to every agency identified as employing DSPs in California. Respondents will enter agency and benefit data directly online into the system for that calendar year of 2021. Now, the data collection period does close pretty quickly. It closes on June 30th. As I stated before, data is more reliable when more providers participate. However, it is completely voluntary. It is good to note as well that the publicly reported data will be aggregated results and agencies' results will be confidential. And then last but not least, we'd like to ask for your help on getting the word out to agencies and increasing the participation for it. If you want more information about the survey, you can visit the website at the DDS site. In addition to that, the survey again does close on June 30th. Only one survey does need to be completed per agency. And as another reminder, We have an incentive of $8,000 that's offered for submitted responses to every question. Your response and survey must be submitted before the close date of June 30th. And again, only one submission or survey needs to be filled out per agency. Now, if you are in this meeting and you feel like you should participate or you want to participate but didn't get a survey, email our DSP Workforce team at dspworkforce@dds.ca.gov, and one of our team members will assist you in getting set up with a survey link. And that, I will pass it back to you, John.
Thanks so much, Erica. You can stop sharing your screen. And thank you, Zach. I was just about to ask, and Zach already knows this. I was just about to ask for someone to put that in the chat box so that we have the information on where we can, because that was the feedback that we had yesterday. We had our provider advisory committee yesterday, and we heard from our service providers that many of them, I don't know what happened with the HSRI email, but it doesn't seem like it got to everyone. And so we know that you're very responsive, because I know I emailed you and I received this response like immediately twice to that mailbox. So I would say that for us, we are going to plan on because we will be sending out the video of this presentation to our service providers. And with that, we'll also send them the information if they have not been able to get that email from HRSI. I know that there was a spirited discussion yesterday amongst our provider advisory committee about wanting to promote this. And I know Eric was part of that discussion yesterday as well. And so, Eric, if you wanted to kind of, well, first I would say, Eric has a little kind of additional promotion that he'd like to give related to this as well, because we do really want to support this for our regional center community. And then we'll see additional questions that you might have for Erica or myself or anyone else. So Eric, you're welcome to go ahead.
Oh, great. Thanks, Ron. And I'll echo, I also needed to email that the DDS on that email got a response, I think within an hour or so. So it was very helpful. So if you do have any questions, just another confirmation that they are very responsive and they solved they answered our question immediately. So it was great. You know, we wanted, so the provider advisory committee, you guys have heard from us, these community services. We're representative of 100% of providers, and our job is to provide advice and guidance to the regional center as they navigate their critical issues and work related to clients and participants and the providers. We want a healthy, robust provider community. For years, we as providers have been at the Capitol, lobbying DDS, lobbying the legislature, and saying we need better solutions for our workforce. And over and over and over again, we didn't have the data that our leaders needed to make informed choices and make meaningful change. And you know, when you are dealing with something as large as the state of California, you need data, you need facts, you need figures, you need trends, you need history. And so over and over and over again, a lot of our efforts, that even when we would have support from stakeholders like DDS, we lacked the data to make that meaningful change. So for the last several years, many of your advocates on the provider side, as well as from the department and others, have said, we need data, we need to have a comprehensive statewide survey, and it can't be something that's just done by individual provider groups, because that data is not comprehensive enough, and it's not done in the way that then maybe the legislatures, other folks need this. So your PAC and pretty much every provider group is strongly encouraging providers to take the time and complete the survey. And we wanted you to hear that from a provider and not just DDS. We wanted you to know that your peers are saying this is going to benefit you, and this was going to make a stronger service system. So it's providers that are as much as DDS, it's providers that are asking for this information. It is a bit longer. It is maybe more comprehensive data reporting than a lot of you guys have done. So in addition to asking you to do it, the provider advisory committee said if anybody needs help, or they get stuck, or they've got questions, or they're worried, and we've seen some folks just saying, you know, what if I answered this question? Am I going to get in trouble or something like this? And they wanted to talk to somebody about that, just to kind of walk through it. If you get stuck or you need to talk to somebody, you can email me. You can email any of the provider advisory committee members, maybe a member that's in your area. We have reps per service category. And we'd be more than happy to help you or assist you in completing the survey. So we just want to encourage everybody to do it and make sure that you heard it from our perspective, why this is so important, because hopefully it's going to drive future changes and improvements to the workforce.
Thank you, Eric. And though we have 86 folks on today, which is a lot of, and more than double than what we had at our provider advisory committee yesterday, we're going to keep talking about this every week until we get to the end of the survey closing. Erica, and maybe Eric can give this answer as well. Last week we talked with folks and we asked them about how long does it take to fill out the survey. So, I don't know if I heard that during the presentation. So, can you give us an idea about the time commitment that people are looking at for the survey?
So I can go ahead and answer from our side. Filling out the survey takes maybe an hour. Collecting the data to fill the survey out takes a little bit longer. We did do a test run before we actually fully launched this with about 8 vendors, ranging from large to small vendor organizations. And a lot of them said it took maybe 1 or 2 days to collect the data and maybe an hour to complete it and fill it out in the survey portal. So Eric, I don't know, how was your experience?
We haven't completed our survey yet, just because some of my key, like our CFO and some other folks, and we're out. But we did collect the data, and ours, we're on track. We have almost all of the data. I just wanted to have this individual come back to review his section. But we have the same thing. It's mostly the data collection. So I think your time would vary based on if you're a large or small agency and how you collect data now. So if you, collect data on, if you have to go back to paper files to grab data or something like that, it's going to take you longer than if you have a centralized database. But in any case, it wasn't prohibitive, especially the $8,000 was something that provider groups asked for. That's more than enough to have paid for our staff time to complete the survey.
And the best part about the survey link, when you receive your unique survey link for your organization, you can actually, so you know how there's payroll section and then there's benefit section. If you have 2 different individuals that handle those portions in your organization, you can forward your link once you've put your answers into it, save it and forward it to the next person. They can enter it, save it, and forward it to the next one. So we really do provide a lot of options. I also want to say, Eric, thanks for offering to assist anybody in filling out the survey. I will say with the DSP inbox, the workforce inbox, you're welcome to email us if you need assistance technically getting through the survey, or if the portal isn't working properly, and we'll work through it with you. We'll even call you if we have to do some troubleshooting to make sure you can enter in your data. I'm really glad, Eric, you're here to join us, because as of yesterday, there was only 301 completed surveys out of almost 5,000 surveys sent out. So the more surveys we get back, the more data we collect, the more reliable the data will be when we analyze the results.
Erica, I saw that you put in the chat information about your website and the DSP information. I'm going to share the screen. I'm hoping you can walk us through the information that DDS has at that link. And then as I'm doing that, I also just want to share the comment that's in the chat as well from Michelle Ramirez, because I think it's a very good, as it disappeared from me as I was talking. I think it was a very good description of her process within her agency. And so let's see. And I will ask, I believe that this is Michelle Ramirez from On My Own, but it may well not be. It may well be Michelle Ramirez from CBAM.
Yes,
wrote this.
it's me. It's Michelle.
All right. Oh, very good. Hey, so real quickly, do you want to just unmute and kind of share that feedback real quick?
Yeah. So what we did, as is many things we do with our company, is we got our payroll team together, our HR team together, because everybody has different parts of entering data. And we have several different databases. So what we did is we went through, it was a long meeting, it was about an hour long, but we went through every single question and we noted where the database would get that information, what report, who does that, who would have that information, because some of this data comes out of payroll, some of it comes out of HR, some of it's a bridge between the two. And so we made a note, and what we're doing is we're creating a template so that we know who is handling the data for each department, and for each question, and where those reports are pulled from, because sometimes it has to be pulled from 2 different databases or something. So so that way next year, that's our template. We'll just pull that questionnaire up and we'll know where to go and who how we got that data and which reports.
I think
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. No.
When you get your survey link, before you actually enter to do the survey, there's an option for you to download the survey as a PDF for your records. So you can use that too, Michelle. I don't know if that would be helpful. You can use that as a Word document.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are we looking at here, Erica?
Perfect. So I will advise everybody, what we're looking at is the the DDS website page directly talking about the DSP workforce data collection, which is the DSP workforce survey I just presented about. We are currently this morning working on updating it to be more current as of today's date, but basically it's talking about the initiative. It addresses what we were attempting to do, which was beginning in May, we sent out the survey links. Talks about why we're looking to do this survey. As I said in our presentation, the DSP workforce is experiencing and historically has been experiencing some challenges. And we want to have some factual data to kind of back up what those challenges are. So maybe we can have some action items in the future. We also have the who, which includes who's included as a DSP. And it, again, I will advise agencies only need to fill out one survey, which includes data at all of their umbrella agencies if they consider themselves under one umbrella. It talks about when agencies employing DSPs can expect to receive their invitation. Currently, we've already sent out invitations in May, so still working on updating the website. How the providers will actually fill out the information, you do it directly online in the portal. And then, John, if you scroll down a little bit to the more detailed section, we have some useful tools. It has a summary about the survey. It has our previous presentation. It also has a FAQ sheet, which will kind of walk you through some commonly asked questions. We did some extensive work in looking at service codes that are considered DSPs. And so you'll have a list down here about service codes that we believe employ DSPs. And then we also have an excluded list as you go farther down. We've also included what categories each service code really falls under: in-home, residential, and non-residential support. So that's a little guide to help you through it as well. And then, John, if you go back to the web page, please, and scroll a little bit up, we have our survey response tracker. If you click on that tab, now it does look very low. So Eric, again, I'm really glad you're here to join us because we want this to look more blue than gray. This is a tracker we try to update on a weekly basis and show the percentages per regional center of vendors. That being said, we do know that vendors use multiple regional centers. So we did try to pick a primary regional center to put them in that bucket. But again, as you look here, we really want these to be higher numbers, especially with the June 30th close date coming up. So you can always look at this and check it weekly to see if there's any updates or changes. And then if you scroll a little bit up, John, we have our outcome page or tab, which talks about potentially what we're looking to do and use for the survey, what we're thinking of using for the data we collect to hopefully help inform policy changes, maybe design some recruitment and retention effort to help the vendors maintain DSPs, and examine, of course, the rate increase over time. We have below that in the more details, we have the previous staff stability report. It'll take you to the national or the Human Services Research Institute last year's report on staff stability. So you can take a look at what it looked like for the other states that were doing it as a whole. This was not when California has been included, so we don't have a report for California yet. Then we have our release report date below that, which is where NASD's actually started doing a news report saying this is coming up, launching it and making sure that it gets out there and the word gets spread. And then back on the page, we have our outreach toolkit, which is how we have been attempting to spread the word. We put it on, and forgive me, I am not very social media savvy, but we put it on, I believe, Twitter. We attempted to put it on our Facebook pages with these little tag cards here you see at the top. Then we have some links for you to go to for the data collecting and a little bit more about the initiatives, a little bit more about the newsletter. And then, of course, last but not least, the contact tab will have the information to how to contact our DSP workforce. You can simply click the link and you should be able to have an email pop up on your end and you can send it straight to us. I will say we are currently working on updating this webpage right now. As of this morning, we did a Thrive Initiative webinar yesterday or 2 days ago, where we had our deputy director Pete Travanka and Leslie Morrison presenting this initiative, and that will be a YouTube link you can click on to see a little bit more details of some of the outreach we've been doing. It'll show our presentation as well. So I'm sorry, John, if I took up a lot of your time, but I was really excited you showed that, and I couldn't help to talk about it all.
We don't have a ton of opportunities to offer additional money to our service providers, and we also, we recognize our whole service system revolves around DSPs. And so the importance of this really cannot be minimized. And so we want to do more to promote it. We will be updating you all with Alta's progress within the survey response tracker. It looks like there's going to be a delay of maybe 4 or 5 business days with that data. But regardless, we really hoping to see folks. And we do want to take advantage of provider advisory committee members that are willing to share kind of best practices on how they did it. And so thank you, Michelle, for sharing that. So Eric and for the, for Lindsay and for the other folks for our provider advisory committee, we'll certainly get that information out there to our vendors, and then that you guys can be a resource. So want to encourage all of you. It's tons, if every vendor on here did it, we'd have 75 of these done right away. So again, we just want to encourage you all to get in there, get the surveys done, collect your $8,000 for your time in doing it, and provide some great data for the state of California. Erica, you don't have to stick around for the rest of our meeting, but thank you very much. And we know how we can reach you through, because we've got that DSP workforce email right there available. So thanks again. And we'll be getting this video of this meeting out to our vendors probably sometime mid next week, so that we can continue to promote this. And for all of you vendors that are on right now, that outreach toolkit, DDS has already put all of this on their social media. It posted like last week. I think I saw it posted. You don't even have to do it yourself. Just share what they did. Just go onto DDS's and just share it with your own social media if you can. The more we can get information out there, like, we don't have a lot of opportunities like this. There's grant things and things like that you have to do, but being able to have $8,000 that you get for doing this, and again, to provide that excellent information for our our state of California peers here, I think it'd be very helpful. So thank you again very much, Erica. And I think we had a few more Alta staff join, so I just want to introduce. I saw Johnny Zhang on there, Associate Client Services Director, who's joined us. Client Services Managers, I saw Dana joined us. I saw Rowena joined us. I saw Carol as well. So good morning to a few more of our managers and staff that are on here. We are going to, again, we thank DDS for that presentation. We're going to move on to HCBS. What are we going to do, Cindy? HCBS validation today? I think so, right?
Yes, I will be going over the HCBS validation process that many of the service providers are required to complete. So with that said, let me go ahead and share my screen.
Take it away.
Thank you, John. So as John mentioned, I am the HCBS specialist here at Alta Regional Center. I took on this role back in January. And the fun work is just starting to begin. Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
Looks great.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so there's a little transition there. I just wanted to show that. So this training is going to be regarding the HCBS validation process from that DDS just recently sent out directives to all regional centers. Okay, so the eligible service codes that are required to complete the HCBS validation and remediation process are the following: residential services 096, 113, 904, 905, 915, 910, 920. And for day services 028, 055, 063, 475, 505, 510, 515, 855, and for employment services 950 and 954. So if your program falls under one of the above categories, you are required to either complete the validation or remediation process for DDS. Okay. So as you may recall, many service providers completed the self-assessments between January and August of 2020. Some have even gone through the process for virtual site assessments conducted by Public Consulting Group, which was done virtually through Microsoft Teams. So the regional centers are in receipt of these reports. So if you have not received a report, go ahead and reach out to me and I can send the reports to you. So back in May 27th of this year, I sent out an email explaining the validation and remediation process. And just most recently on June 8th, I sent out, I'm sorry, I got a call. I sent out an email with an explanation of how to submit the plans. So if you are required to submit a validation plan, you should have received that email from me. So you might be asking, well, why do we have to go through the validation process? Well, based on what you have reported to DDS, either through the self-assessment or through PCG, it is your opportunity to show DDS that you have been in compliance, either all along or you have made some changes to come into compliance. And as you may recall, DDS is required to collect the information so that they can report to the Center for Medicaid and Medi-Cal Services, also known as HBS, in the California Statewide Transition Plan. So any self-assessments that were completed during the 2020 period are not considered to be valid by CMS due to the self-reported nature. And so that's the reason that you now have to go through the process to be validated. And so the validation process solely relies on the submission of the documents, verifying that you are reported to be fully compliant with the HCBS regulations. And I will be providing some examples of the documents that you can complete or that you can submit. And all validation forms and supporting documentation are due to the regional center no later than June 30th. Okay, so right now I'm going to go ahead and go over the process of how to submit and label the documents. So if you are submitting a folder to the regional center, we are asking that, just for sake of consistency, because this is the process that DDS is also asking the regional centers to upload the information to their SharePoint system. And because we have over 500 of these reports that we have to send to DDS, we're asking everyone to please comply with us and follow this process so that it makes things so much easier for us. So in the folder or file, the first thing that you should attach would be the template. So for the purpose of today's training, it's going to be for the validation process. So you should be submitting either the validation process for residential provider or for non-residential provider. So you would label your folder with your vendor number first and the name of your agency. And any supporting documentation that follow that should have on there either FR1 to reference federal requirement number 1 and a description of what it is that you are submitting. So some examples include program design segment, a weekly schedule, perhaps a segment from the program design like the exit criteria, the residential services admission agreement. Okay, so here's an example. So this is a federal requirement number 1, which talks about access to the community. So if you are submitting a segment from your program design, so you would check A, then in the box below, you would identify the document that you are submitting. So you would identify program design, perhaps it's on page 10, and then if you're also submitting a weekly schedule to show that you're compliant in this area, then you would check D, which is a schedule of calendar of activities to support compliance. So in the description box, you would put weekly schedule. And Okay, so here's an example of the supporting documentation. So as you can see on top, I put FR1 program design page 10. So this coincides with the description that you also put on the template. And here's a sample of the weekly schedule. And as you can see, it also identifies FR1 weekly schedule. Okay, so here's another sample of a federal requirement number 2 regarding the choice of setting. So again, you can provide a segment from the program design. So here is a program design, the exit criteria, which shows that the client has a choice in regards to the program and services that they are receiving. So the exit criteria here identifies the first one as when a client or the representatives makes a written request to terminate services provided by the program director. So as you can see here, they have a choice as far as which services they want to receive and which services they don't want to receive. And here is an example for federal requirement number 6, which requires a lease, a residence agreement, or other form of written agreement in place for each participant. So here you would check G just because it is not any of the above. It's not A, B, C, D, E, or F. It is G. So then in the description box, you put residential services admission agreement, and you can attach that part. Keep in mind that DDS does not want us to provide any supporting documentation with identifiable information. So anything that has client's name, date of birth, staff's names, you want to go ahead and black that out. So here it was an example that I had received from our CPP department for a specific client that I was using as an example. And so I just basically, if you have PDF format, the system for PDF to make changes on there, you can actually add a text on there. And then if you just add, you use W, it's gonna white out everything for you, as you can see here. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go
Real
back.
quickly.
Yeah,
So
so
just to reiterate this again, we're going to be receiving thousands of documents from the service providers that are going to have to be reviewed by our community services specialists. And so just please be mindful of that. It's going to be really challenging to go through and have to do our redacting of every single one of them. And you're a lot more familiar with your documents as service providers than we are. And so it's going to be a lot easier for you to redact things before it gets to us. So please do not submit any documentation with identifying information in it. Thank you.
thank you, John. So I just want to make a note that if the client is not living in a care home setting, you can also include a rent or a lease agreement. So it does not have to be the admission agreement. Okay, so where should you submit the plans to? So we have a dedicated inbox, htbs@altaregional.org, where you can send all of the supporting documentations along with the templates. And we're going to be offering trainings and support to you every single Friday during Coffee with CSS. So any questions regarding the HCBS, the validation process, or for copies of the self-assessment or virtual site assessments, go ahead and reach out to me. My email is there, and as well as my telephone. And I do also accept text. So several of you have texted me requesting for the report. Okay, so what happens after the plans are submitted? So I will be the main person to determine if the plan should go to DDS for review or if it should go to one of our specialists for review. The reason for that is because PCG is going to be assisting in the process by reviewing about 75% of the validation plans from you. So in order to determine who is responsible for reviewing the documents, I have access to the SharePoint from DDS, so I can look through that spreadsheet to see if the report should go to DDS or if it should go to one of our specialists. And so once we have reviewed the documents and we determine that the program is validated, I will note that information on the spreadsheet. If it's going to be one of the reports that's going to be sent over to DDS, they will complete that information. Then the validation process is completed. So now you are, determined to be compliant. And once the process is completed, we're going to submit to DDS the final spreadsheet for their final review. Okay, so I just wanted to go over some of the frequently asked questions that have been coming through the inbox. The first one is, if the provider completed the virtual site assessment and PCG determined that the provider was in compliance, does the provider still need to complete the validation plans? So the answer to that is no, because as you were going through the process, if you completed any follow-up to show PCG that you're in compliance, you do not need to go through the process. Second question. So if the provider required to complete both validation and remediation plans, yes. If you have validation status on the spreadsheet, then you would only need to go through the validation process. However, if you have remediation status, that means that you may be out of compliance in one or more areas. You are required to go through both the remediation and validation process. So validation process would be for the areas that you self-reported to be in compliance with, and then the remediation would be for areas where you self-reported that you were not in compliance with, or if you had an incomplete assessment, or if PCG determined that you were not in compliance and you did not complete the follow-up. So does the provider have to submit all items on the list, A through F, for each question? No, you can submit one or as many as necessary to help the reviewer determine your compliance status. So if A through F does not apply, you can also check G. So if you're submitting like a picture, a photo of something, then you can also check G, but make sure that you label the document. Okay, so if the provider completed the VSA, virtual site assessment, but did not complete the required follow-up for PCG, then you will have you will be in the remediation status because your assessment was determined to be incomplete. So if the provider started the self-assessment but did not complete the assessment in its entirety, are you required to complete the assessment or do anything at this point? So you are not required to complete the assessment at this moment, but you will be put in the remediation status and will need to complete the remediation process. If the provider doesn't agree with the outcome of the VSA, let's say that you think that you're in compliance, but PCG stated that you're not, you can submit documentation to PCG to show the areas that you think you're in compliance with, and they will make the determination and change the outcome as necessary. So earlier I talked about who will review the provider's plans. As you can see here, 75% of the validation plans will be reviewed by DDS, and Regional Center is going to review 25% of the validation plans. However, regional centers are required to review 100% of the remediation plans. So that's as you can see, it's going to be a lot of work. We have over 500 service providers who need to go through the process. Can providers submit one plan for multiple vendorizations? Unfortunately, no. You need to submit one plan for each vendorization. So who should providers reach out to if they have questions regarding their validation or remediation status, or to obtain report, or they have general questions about the process? So reach out to me if you have general questions, but for any follow-up questions regarding the validation or remediation plans, you can reach out to your specialist. Okay, so here are some resources that I think would be helpful for you to have. And John, can we share this PowerPoint so that they can have access to some of these.
When we send out the video of the Coffee with Community Services, as we'll send out a video for this as well.
Okay.
We'll save this on our website, and then we'll send the link out via MailChimp to everyone so that they know where this is. And then I'll be honest with you, next Friday we're going to bring up the same PowerPoint. We're not going to go through every step of it, but we are going to bring up the contact information and the FAQs, because some people are going to get into this a little bit more over the next week, and then they're going to have obviously more questions next week. And so we're going to kind of just keep sharing this information out to folks, and providing a forum here where we can talk about people's questions. And because we decided that, we're here every Friday, we're going to be available. And a lot of the questions that you're going to have related to the validation and later the remediation is going to be something that is really going to be general probably and benefit other vendors as well. Like, for example, can I use this type of document? Or simple things like Cindy was asking, can I use one document for like even multiple different areas? Well, you might be able to use, a program design page to do a couple different areas, but maybe not doing different vendorizations. That's why we have a separate vendor number that we want to see on the documents that are uploaded.
Okay. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. At this point, do we have any questions?
So you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions. You can certainly put them in the chat, or you can think about your questions for next week and we can try to get those done. I see Becky Brubaker. I just want to say hi. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Good to see you. All right, can this PowerPoint be made available is in the chat. So Tanya Nally, we will certainly make that PowerPoint available. We'll get that out to folks, and then also we'll save a video of this presentation, and we'll talk to Herman when he's back on Monday, and we'll get it posted on our website.
John, can I just note something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So later on this afternoon, if you are under remediation status, you will be receiving an email from me with an explanation of how to submit your documents for that process.
So we have the June 30th deadline for the validation plans. The remediation plans is at July 22nd. We wanted to get the validation stuff out to you guys right away because we know there's a great many of you that are going to be submitting your validation documents. Cindy, I think we had our first submission within how quickly? Like within a day, we already started having them starting to roll into the inbox. So we certainly know that folks are working on these, and it's going to be kind of, I'm sure, a lot of technical assistance in the beginning as we look at these. But let's see.
And then I also just want to say another thing, John, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you have submitted any supporting documentation in the past, please note that it probably did not come to us. If you submit it to DDS, I don't think they saved it anywhere because I don't have records of it. So if you got an email from me stating that you need to submit one of the plans, then please just follow the process, because at this point, I don't have any of the reports or any supporting documentations that you submitted to either to the regional center or to DDS.
So for the probably about 75 vendors that are on right now, at least try to work on it, because we know a number of you have validation plans. At least try to work on it over this next week if you can, because it would be great if you could bring some questions back next week on what worked for you, or maybe if there was a way that you could do it easily or something. It's just, we want to be able to share this information widely with our vendor community. And we also, again, have a number of community services specialists here that can also share the information with other service providers. So Again, the validation letters went out on Tuesday, and the remediation letters emails are going to go out today. And so everyone should be able to get one of those. If you have a question, whether or not you have remediation or validation, please contact Cindy directly. I will not be the best person to answer your questions. Even your specialist right now may not be the best person. Right now, Cindy understands the process the best. We're going to be going through a process of training our service coordinators, our community services specialists on how to review these documents. This is a desk review. This is not a gold stamp saying that we've done a comprehensive evaluation of every aspect of the current programming that you are offering, and you are HCBS ready. That is not what this is. This is a desk review of documentation that you are providing so that we can do the validation that's required. for people that have self-attestation with CMS. That's really kind of all it really is. So again, we are going to continue to talk about this every week, and probably at least till July 22nd, till after the remediation plans are due. So
So there's a question in the chat. Someone was asking if they have both validation and remediation, is the deadline still June 30th? And I put my answer in there. So validation plans are due June 30th and remediation plans are due July 22nd.
all right. Thank you very much. We certainly will get into that a little bit more, but I want to touch on rate study stuff real quick. Jean, is there any rate study updates from this morning? I was not available, so I don't know if there was any rate study updates. Otherwise, I think we just need to talk about upcoming vendor forums and things like that. So,
No, Robin she had a lot of information, but we need the group to review it.
okay, yeah, I know that there was certainly some information related to 055 rates and 063 rates and some recalculation that I think is going on with the Department of Developmental Services. So we're still working on that with, I guess, Burns and Associates and what that's going to look like. In the meantime, we have a window that is open now where you can submit for a rate review to take a look at the rate study implementation if you feel like maybe it was done inappropriately. And so we are going to be setting up meetings, and we're going to set it up, I think like this, EI, behavioral services, and psych vendors, adult day program, and employment services, all residential services, homemaker, SLS, and ILS, and then transportation. And so we are going to be setting up separate groups for those different groups, so that we can provide some technical assistance to you with questions that you might have about the rate study implementation for your specific set of service codes. We're working this out so that Robin LeMay, who is our accounting manager, can be present with these meetings as well. And then we'll try to have as many community services specialists and managers from community services as possible that can be in there. Additionally, we're going to be sending the schedule over to our provider advisory committee, because our provider advisory committee would like to be present to assist you guys during this as well, because they also want to ensure that everyone fully understands what the rate study calculations were, and that they've had an opportunity to, again, take a look at it and ask any questions or ask for a review if necessary. So that is going to be coming up. The schedule will probably be out, I would say, probably on Monday. And so we'll get that out to vendors. We'll be doing 1 hour long office hour blocks for the different groups. And then we'll kind of determine if we need to do more. We'll do the initial groups and then see if we need to run run another meeting or have just like maybe some individualized sessions. But I think it'll also be helpful for our community services specialists, because if they can sit in and kind of listen to the discussions from you as service providers, so we can find out, again, want to make sure that we've got fair rates for folks and that the rate study implementation is done appropriately for each of the service codes. The question in the chat from Bonnie is, for those codes, would we wait to ask for the rate review for the 063 and the 055? Jean, was there any feedback about that, or do you know any feedback about that for the 063s and the 055s? If we are going to, I feel like a rate review for those ones would be on hold, because we need to find out what the recalculation is going to be. So I wouldn't worry too much about the 063 or 055s just this second, but what I can say is that we will give a fuller description next week when we come back here on what the status is. Because again, this is something that just popped up this week that we found out about, where we learned that there was apparently an error in the calculation that was made, I think with Burns.
Could I elaborate a little bit on my question? Yes, please. So what I've been trying to figure out or find out for the last, I don't know, probably 45 days or however long we've been talking about the rate letters coming out, we haven't received anything, or at least I can't find anyone within my agency that's received this letter. So I'm gonna hope and guess the reason we haven't got anything is maybe because DDS is working on it.
Yeah, I would contact Heather directly, Heather Hollingworth. And
yes, I have.
Oh, okay. All right. And then forward that email to me if you haven't heard anything yet. And so we'll take a look specifically at it and we can let you know either thumbs up or thumbs down if you're getting one, not getting one. I would assume that it did not go up since there was no rate increase letter that went out to you guys, but
It
but
seemed like back when the rate study first came out, there was changes for 063. But maybe it's just been so long now that because we had so many different codes we were looking at, maybe I'm just not recalling it correctly.
And again, it may be that it was miscalculated and a letter will be, forthcoming. So
Okay.
that is a distinct possibility. And we'll be here every Friday to answer questions about it. So that's the
Absolutely.
beauty of it. So, and then the other thing I wanted to share was something that was shared with me this morning. Who's heard about the IRS mileage rate going up? Anyone? Yeah? Yes? No? Maybe so? It went up yesterday. And I'm going to share my screen real quick. Maybe, perhaps. It's weird. Let me share my other screen. All right, I'll drop it in the chat. From the IRS, basically the mileage rate went up to 62.5 cents a mile. So it went up by 4 cents since the beginning of the most recent update. And Jackie Foss from STEP sent that over this morning, and that already went to our accounting department, and our accounting department is already looking at updating rates for people that have the mileage rate. And are the budget rates also going to increase? I think the question is the final California budget going to have an acceleration of the rate study increase? And I think we will assuredly have an answer to that by next Friday when we have our next Coffee with Community Services. The budget should be just about done by then. It'll be June 17th. And so we'll provide an update to folks next week, and do we have any additional information related to that. That being said, it is 12 o'clock and it is a balmy, probably 103 out in Sacramento right now. So we hope that everyone has a great rest of your day. Again, we'll send out the information. Cindy, we got to make sure we make these PowerPoints available to everyone. So let's get we'll work on getting things sent out on Monday. But thank you very much, folks. And again, we'll be updating folks on HCBS, rate study, and budget stuff next week as well. Thank you very much again. Thank you, Cindy, for your presentation. Thank you, Eric, for the offer of assistance from the PAC for everything. And we'll talk to you guys later, okay? And to our studio audience as well. Thank you, guys. All right.